Alright, hello, I'm the Silver Kyle, and today I'm going to be going over the 20 games that they've announced for the PlayStation 1 Classic. And I have to say that I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I'm quite underwhelmed, actually. I expected so much more from this. It's not like... There are some good games in here, but there's some really big glaring omissions. And setting aside that I wanted this to just be an RPG machine, because obviously, you know, PlayStation 1 is more than an RPG machine, but SNES and PlayStation 1 were where the RPGs were at, by far. And if you would have just had them as RPG machines, that would have been friggin' awesome. But more so on the SNES one, I do feel that you kind of have to have like the Super Mario Worlds and Super Metroid and Zelda, which aren't necessarily RPG. Well, Zelda is arguably an RPG. I consider it like an adventure game more so than an RPG. Anyway, let's go over the 20 games here, and it's really unfortunate with some of these. First game, or it's all in alphabetical order. So Battle Arena Toshinden, which is a fighting game that I've never heard of before, and I don't think that this is kind of what they should have been putting on there if you wanted fighting games. I don't even know. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Cool Borders 2, which is a snowboarding game that they put into this. I also don't feel that this game looks fun at all. I do not feel that it's on the same level as you know, Snowboards Kids, which you could have had on N64. I just feel that don't even try. You can't duplicate the kind of success that some of the snowboarding games that they've had on other systems on this. I think there was another big one on N64 that was more realistic. I can't remember what it was called though. Anyway, Cool Borders 2 does not look very fun. They have Destruction Derby, which as a derby game looks alright, I guess, but once again, then they had Final Fantasy VII. They had previously announced this. That one you had to put it on here, and that's one of the few games that is like, oh man, Final Fantasy VII, PlayStation 1 Classic. That's awesome. That's one of the few sells of this console, I find, or this whatever the heck. I don't know, the mini. Then they have Intelligent Cube. Now, Intelligent Cube has, to me, no place really being on here other than it being a puzzle game, and I think they want to kind of hit every genre. And I think that, honestly, if they would have had every other game being a big game, I would have been okay with it being here, because it actually, I looked at the video, and it was a kind of different way of a puzzle game. You had this one little character, and you would go and pick a cube, and then something would happen, and then they would eliminate one of the cubes depending on where these other cubes landed. I was like, that kind of looks like a cool puzzle game as far as puzzle games go, but still, I've never heard of it before, and it's not on the same level as Final Fantasy VII, I'll tell you that much. Then they had Jumping Flash. I don't know what the heck that was. Some kind of first-person game where you pick up stuff. It looked horrible. I mean, I've never played this game before, so I have no idea. Maybe it's super fun, but this, to me, looked like a horrible game. I have no idea why they chose to put that game on here. Then they have Metal Gear Solid. Very happy that this is on here. Once again, this would be on the same vein of Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX. I mean, I would have loved if they had Final Fantasy IX on there. But Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear, obvious PlayStation choices here. These make sense. Next is Mr. Driller. For a puzzle game, this I find, if you're gonna have a puzzle game, put Mr. Driller. Like I'm not super excited and jazzed about it at all. I don't even know if I'd actually play it, but it makes sense on a small scale. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. That one made sense. Very happy that that's in there. That's cool. Rayman, another one. That one made sense. Resident Evil Director's Cut. Yes, Resident Evil needed to be on here. I think Resident Evil 2 would have made a little bit more sense because everybody talks about that one. But Resident Evil 1, you can't really go wrong either. 1 and 2, it was going to be one or the other. And I'm fine with that. This one I didn't expect. Really didn't see this one coming. Revelations Persona. So Persona, the first Persona, is going to be on here. That's awesome. That's what I kind of wanted from this. Although, here's the other thing, is that I don't know... Persona, I've never played Persona. I do have Persona 3 and Persona 4, and I will eventually be playing those. And I've always looked forward to playing a Persona game, but I've never actually played one. And I feel that Persona 1 you could have replaced it with another RPG. We'll get to that in a second here, but there's a few other RPGs that I feel would have made more sense. I mean, you already have Final Fantasy 7 there, but put Final Fantasy 9 on there. Anyway, then they had Ridge Racer Type 4. I guess Ridge Racer's on everything, but still, I feel that there's other games that they could have put on there. Ridge Racer's not that bad there. I feel that it made more sense than Destruction Derby. And they had previously announced that Ridge Racer was going to be on there. Then I read quickly, I thought it was Super Fighter 2 Turbo. So I thought it was like Super Street Fighter. But it's Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. It's a puzzle game with Street Fighter. Why? I just don't care about puzzle games. I don't know if this is an amazing puzzle game, but it's a puzzle game. It's a waste. It's a waste of a space that they could have put something else there. Siphon Filter, that made sense. That's cool. That was a big game I find back in the day on the PlayStation 1. Tekken 3, I felt that they were going to have a Tekken game. And this, for a fighting game, this makes total sense to be on this system. Then they have Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Also, that one made sense to me. That was really big back in the day for PlayStation 1. Twisted Metal. I knew they were going to have a Twisted Metal on there. I expected Twisted Metal too. I expected a lot of sequels on here instead because those are generally the bigger games. But going with the first games that are still very good, I understood. And finally, Wild Arms, which they had previously announced. So the ones that I'm happy that they have on here, Final Fantasy 7. Did I say Grand Theft Auto? They put Grand Theft Auto 1 on here too. I don't know if I might have just jumped over to something. Yeah, I think I jumped over to Intelligent Cube. They have the first Grand Theft Auto, which is a top-down view. It's still fun. Not nearly the same as Grand Theft Auto 3 and onward, though, where they made it third-person games. Anyway, so I'm happy that they have Final Fantasy 7 on here, Grand Theft Auto, Metal Gear Solid, like, oh, that's awesome. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil, Persona, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, Wild Arms. So about 12 of those games that are good games. To me, the system sellers, though... So there's 12 games that I think deserve to be on here. To me, the system sellers are Final Fantasy 7, Metal Gear, Resident Evil, I mean, Twisted Metal's very Sony and PlayStation 1. Like, that reminds me of it. So I guess that one. Wild Arms, I guess. Persona, for me, is there. But I don't know if that's for everybody else. I don't know. Like, glaring omissions to me is... as much as it's never really interested in me, Parappa the Rapper, that I feel could have been on there. Gran Turismo? I don't even care about Gran Turismo once again, but that one makes a lot more sense than, I don't know, Destruction Derby, Cool Borders. I feel you had Jet Moto instead of Destruction Derby, or Cool Borders. So instead of having a Destruction Derby and Cool Borders, you could add Jet Moto, and you could have had Gran Turismo. Instead of Battle Arena Tushiden, which is a fighting game, you could have had... wasn't there a Marvel vs. Capcom on here? That'd probably be very hard to get, but they should have pushed for that. That would have been freaking awesome on there. They could have had Mega Man Legends on here. I think that would have made a lot of sense. Crash Bandicoot, that would have made a lot of sense. And trying to set aside my bias, but The Legend of Dragoon is a Sony property. Like, I'm pretty sure it's Sony Interactive that published that game. I'm like 99% certain. It's Sony. It's right? Like, that's Sony that did this. Sony definitely published this. So why is that not on there? That would have made a lot of sense. And you could have replaced any of these boring games on here. I don't understand why Crash isn't on there. Spyro, once again, like Spyro and Crash is kind of like, to me, that's kind of like having Mario and Zelda. Like, those are really big for PlayStation 1 anyway. Eventually they turned into something different, but at the time those were really big games. So yeah, I'm just not really that jazzed about this. It is what it is. I'm probably not going to get one. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the PlayStation 1 Classic, disappointed? Are you still super excited for what they have on there? Are you going to be getting one? At this point in time, I do not see myself getting that. I have an SNES Classic, and honestly, I think I would probably get an NES Classic before I get a PlayStation 1 Classic. However, and nothing's announced, but if they make an N64, which it looks like they are going to be making an N64 Mini, I'm like 99% certain that I would get that, because Nintendo really pays attention to what the fans want, and like pretty much everything that's on the SNES was really awesome, and games that made sense to be on the SNES Classic. So I think that Nintendo does a much better job at this than PlayStation did, but it's a little bit different because Nintendo has so many first-party games, whereas Sony does. But like Legend of Dragoon, I feel that would have been like easy to do. Anyway, thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in.
Beardage.